Good morning, good evening to all of you. Welcome to 10x Learning with Rishi. I'm working as a security consultant for one of the IT firm. I work on Palo Alto Firewalls, Palo Alto Panorama, Prisma Cloud, and Global Protect VPN. I worked in Palo Alto Tech. I worked on multiple roles as an engineer, then senior engineer, and for focused services customers, and then I became tech lead. I used to provide trainings to configuration team in Palo Alto Tech. So what configuration team does, they help customers with the configuration related stuff. If they need any assistance on a basic configuration, so that team helps them. So I used to provide training to them. So today I'm here to help you guys. So what we are going to cover, we are just going to cover the basic troubleshooting steps or the flow that we should follow. So I always believe in one thing. So you can go on the internet, on YouTube, or even any other study materials where they will help you only just to configure the stuff and like you can just look for them. But what I always believe in one thing: we should understand the logic why we are doing this. If we are configuring something, why we are configuring this, what is the significance of each and every field that we are configuring. And the same way, if we are troubleshooting something, we must understand the traffic flow. So we will be covering this in this class, although like we will not be going to the practical lab in this class, but we'll be covering this the basic steps or the flow, how we should troubleshoot on Palo Alto firewalls. So I divided these steps into few categories or the steps that we have. So first thing, traffic received on firewall. So suppose you are troubleshooting anything, even not on Palo Alto firewall, even any device in this world. First, you need to validate that the traffic is hitting to that device or that firewall or not. Because if you are not receiving the traffic on any of the device where you are troubleshooting, then you cannot do anything. So first, we need to know how to validate that the traffic is hitting to our device or our firewall or not. Then the second one, do we have a security rule? So in terms of firewalls, do we have a security rule for that? So we just need to validate it. So we can just go to the security rules, then we can check, we can set the filters to validate that rules. So it's a manual task, but we also have another way, I'll tell you. Then firewall is dropping or allowing. Then it comes to the firewall. Suppose we receive the traffic, we have a rule as well, but firewall is dropping it. Then we need to understand why firewall is dropping it, because you can identify from the logs that firewall is dropping or denying that, but what is the reason that firewall is dropping or denying this? Okay, so we will also cover this. Then the next one is allowing. If firewall is allowing, that means we are forwarding the traffic. Then why firewall is dropping, like I already covered this, but we will understand, or we will I'll show you the steps that how we can identify that the Palo Alto firewall is dropping something, then why it is dropping, how we can identify that reason. So once we identify that, then the last one is fix it. So let's go step by step. The first one, traffic received on firewall or not, how we can validate it. So there are multiple ways we can validate that traffic is being received on the firewall or not. The first and simple way, just from the GUI, go to the traffic logs and check in the traffic logs that like just set the filters from that specific source to that specific destination. Do we see any traffic hit or not? Okay, so from there we can validate. The other way, from CLI, command line, just log into the command line of the firewall and then run this simple command. So this is the same thing, like in traffic logs we just check it or set the filters in GUI. In CLI we just do the same thing, but it just shows us the sessions. Okay, So sometimes we don't see the traffic's logs into the traffic log, but we can see in the session table. So the command is show session all filter source 10.1.1.2 and destination is we are taking it here 8.8.8. So whatever destination IP or source IP that you have, you can use it. Then it will show us the session IDs. So suppose we see some logs, but if you want to see the detailed logs, like what is the source, what is the destination, if NAT is happening, which NAT IP we are using, if we have a pool of IP, so which specific IP took from that pool, we can identify this. Then which security rule it is hitting, which NAT rule is matching, which application is identified, how many traffic or how many packets transmitted, how many packets received, and there are so many other parameters. What is the ingress interface, what is the exit interface? So there are so many other parameters that we have that we can check. So we will cover it when we will be doing lab for this. So this is the second point that we can check the traffic is hitting to firewall or not. Then the last one is packet captures. We can take the packet captures on Palo Alto Firewall. So so on Palo Alto firewalls, we have, whenever we take the packet captures, we have 4 stages. So what these stages are? So receive, transmit, firewall. Okay, firewall and drop. So what is received? Suppose whenever traffic, whenever we receive traffic on the firewall, okay, so that is the received stage. That means firewall received the traffic. Transmit means suppose firewall processed everything, we have rules, we have routing at place and NAT rules, everything is applied, and we transmitted the packet to the exit interface. So we will see those packets into the transmit. So suppose we received a packet and firewall dropped it, so we will not see that traffic into the transmit, because firewall dropped it, it never transmitted that packet. So this is also one of the way to troubleshoot it, to identify that firewall is forwarding the same packet that we have received or not. Okay, so this is the received and transmit, then the firewall. So whatever traffic or packet that firewall is processing, we will see all the packets in the firewall stage. Then the last one is drop. So if due to any reason firewall is dropping the packet, so we will see it in the drop stage. Okay, so these are the ways that we can identify that firewall has received traffic or not. Then the next one, do we have a security rule? So as I said, we can just go to the security rule sections. We have list of security rules. We can also set the filters over there to identify the security rule that we have it or not, but it's a manual task that we have. Okay, but sometimes, if you are working on any of the device quite long, so you become very comfortable to identify the logs. But if you don't want, if you're new, that is fine. We have a very simple way to identify it, the troubleshooting tool on Palo Alto Firewall. So just go to the GUI or CLI, we have it both ways. So go to this GUI, enter your source IP, destination port, or is it a UDP, TCP? There are so many parameters that we have. So as much as details that you have, just fill in and then run it. It will show you the possible match, possible security rule match. Then you can identify, like, do I have a rule or not? Okay. Then the next one is firewall is dropping or allowing. So suppose we receive the traffic, but firewall is allowing it or dropping it. How we can identify this? So from the logs we can check the action. Okay, so the simple ways that I would say the first phase, if we troubleshoot something, we just need to check the logs. And what are the most frequently used logs are traffic logs and URL filtering logs. But sometimes we see the threat logs as well. But although like Palo Alto Firewalls has some other logs as well, but we will cover it later whenever we will cover the respective topics. Okay, so the first thing we will need to check on the traffic logs, URL filtering logs, or threat logs. Okay, so from traffic logs, what we can check? We have a column action. So these are the common action type that we have. So allow, that means firewall is allowing that traffic. Deny, that means firewall denied it. Then drop, firewall is dropping that packet. Then reset both. So reset both means like this is the this refers to the TCP reset flag. So what firewall did? Firewall dropped that packet and it sent the reset TCP reset message to both parties, source and destination. Okay, so we will be having some other actions as well, but these are human readable. Okay, I do not need to explain to you guys. Okay, you will be able to understand this. Then check the session end region. So there are quite few session end regions. So aged out. So suppose session is idle. Okay, no traffic transmitted from source and destination. So like the Palo Alto Firewalls, they have the default timers. Okay, we will cover it when we will troubleshoot it. Like what are the default timers for TCP, UDP, and SCTP, and some other protocols. Okay, so if no session is idle and no packet transmitted from source and destination, then the session gets aged out. Okay, that's normal. Then TCP fin. So as per the name, suppose either of the parties sent the TCP fin TCP packet with fin flag, so the firewall will terminate that session. Then the next one is TCP reset from client. So as per the name, you can identify that there is a TCP reset flag from source or from the client. So firewall will terminate the session. Then the same way, TCP reset from server. So we have received the TCP reset packet or flag from the server side. So the firewall will terminate the session. Then the threat. So most of the time, like whenever we see the threat, it is related to, like in enterprise networks, it is related to the URL filtering. So any of the URL is getting blocked, so we will see the session end region as a threat. So what we can do, simply just go to the URL filtering logs and check which URL is getting blocked. Okay, and then whitelist it, and it will work. Then the other reasons are like if we have any firewall found any vulnerability or something, okay, and it is hitting to that and the firewall is dropping it, we will see the threat end region. Then the policy deny. Obviously, like we do not have any security rule or it matched deny rule, so we will see policy deny. Then the unknown. Most of the time we see unknown whenever our TCP handshake does not complete. So when it doesn't complete, suppose we send TCP SYN and we never received the SYN ACK from the other server, so that session will terminate with the unknown region. Then sometimes we see we send the TCP SYN, we received the TCP SYN ACK, but we never sent TCP acknowledgement. Okay, then the SSL handshake is not completed. So there are multiple things that happens when we have the session end region as an unknown. We will cover it later when we will be doing the lab and if we will come across with such logs. Okay, then why firewall is dropping? Suppose firewall is dropping, you took the packet captures on and you found it into the traffic logs that firewall is dropping it. So now we identified it. Now the next stage or step will be to identify why firewall is dropping it. So we just need to check the global counters. Although like initially in the first phase you guys will be will not be able to identify it, but take it easy. It happens whenever we learn something new. It takes time, but if you know the right path or right things to check it or to validate the logs, you will learn it. Okay, so I'll tell you very simple ways. So we need to check the global counters. What are the global counters? They are the events or the logs, okay, that firewall generates whenever any packet hits to the firewall. It just goes to the session lookup phase, then slow path, fast path, content inspection, application identification. These are the things, okay. Like we will cover the life of a packet. Okay, So like I'm just going to that thing. I just want to explain you what is life of a packet. So whenever packet hits, any packet hits to the firewall, how packet process it, how packet checks layer 2 packet, layer 2 header, layer 3 header, layer the transport layer header, what are the fields or parameters that our firewall checks. Okay, if the IPsec tunnel is terminating on the firewall, then how firewall decrypts that packet. We will also cover this. We will also cover how the session lookup happens. What are the 6 tuples that firewall checks to create or validate the sessions? What is fast path? What is slow path? Okay, what happens in the slow path, like zone protection and user ID identification, application identification, NAT, routing, security rule match. So multiple things that happens. Okay, what is first path? How the firewall identify the applications. Okay, what is application engine? What is content inspection engine? What is SP3 architecture of Palo Alto firewalls? You will really enjoy it. Okay, we will go so deep, because as I said, I believe in one thing. I want people to understand the logic, because until unless you don't understand the logic, it always become or creates difficulties to work on anything or even on any product. Okay, so we will cover it in life of a packet. So let's come back. So the global counters, so these are the events that firewall generate. We just need to check or track the events, like which event like it is getting like which packet is getting dropped by the firewalls. Okay, and in the global counter itself, these are, it just gives the description. Firewall gives the description in simple English language. Okay, you just read them, you will identify what is the region for this. Okay, and the command is show counter global filter packet filter yes delta yes. Okay, we will cover each and everything what these means. Okay, then check routing. So how we can check routing on Palo Alto firewalls? It becomes it is very easy. So if you see that command, test routing fib lookup virtual router default. So the default virtual router, that's the name of virtual router. It can be different, and the IP, the destination IP that for which you want to check the routing. Like suppose you have three or four zones: DMZ zone, trust zone, and untrust zone, and you want to check like if packet is the routing is correct for any specific destination or not on the firewall. So you just run this command. It will tell you what is the exit interface on the Palo Alto firewall, or this IP will exit from which interface. Okay, so we will also cover this. Okay, it is very easy to identify this. Then it's not the end. Let me also cover one more thing, okay, before we just end this session. So that is the packet flow. Okay, so suppose this is our source 10.1.1.2, 10.1.1.1, that is our default gateway, and this is our public IP, okay, that we have, and this is internet. So suppose user wants to access 10.1.1.2, this is the source IP, destination IP is 8.8.8.8. okay, our packet will receive here. Okay, firewall will check the security rules and everything. It just creates the session, then it will perform the NAT. Okay, so in NAT what will happen, this IP will be changed. Okay, so 1.1.1. Also I just want to say NAT is very simple. Okay, whenever we change the source IP, that is source NAT. Whenever we change the destination IP, that is destination NAT. We will be having a separate or dedicated class for NATing. Okay, this is very important, and people have confusion. Okay, still they have confusion. What is NAT, man? It is very simple, man. Okay, so here we are just doing source NAT. So what we are changing in our packet, the source IP. So this is our original packet. So what will be the destination? Destination will be same, because we are not doing destination NAT. 8.8.8.8.8. okay, and firewall just creates a NAT entry. Okay, like we just netted 10.1.1.2 with the 1.1.1.1, and it obviously have the ports as well, but we are not going that deep now. So that packet will receive to the destination server. Okay, so what exactly the packet looks like here, source is 1.1.1.1, destination is 8.8.8.8. Okay, so it is like the same way, like we used to send the letters. Okay, so at the top we used to mention the to address where we are forwarding, and the at the back we were adding from where we are sending this. So this is the same thing that is happening. So this is our server. We received this packet. Okay, now the server is responding back. So what it will do, it will just flip the source and destination that we used to do whenever we used to reply to any letters. Okay, so when the server will reply, what it will become, so source will be 8.8.8.8 and destination will be 1.1.1.1. Okay, so that packet will receive, like over the internet routing will identify and destine this packet to our firewall interface. Okay, here we receive this traffic. So we already have a session, so the traffic will be allowed. But before we forward this, what we need to take care, route the netting. Okay, because when we send that packet, we netted 1.1.1.1, like from 10.1.1.2 to 1.1.1. So what we need to do, we just need to revert it. So here actually the packet that we will receive is source is 8.8.8.8 and destination is 1.1.1.1. So on the firewall we'll just do the reverse netting for this. So how the packet will look like after just changing the IP from net translation table. Source will be same 8.8.8.8 and destination will become 10.1.1.2. okay, and this is what exactly the packet that we sent, and the firewall will send this packet. So here we receive the packet as an 8.8.8.8. destination is 10.1.1.2. so this is just exact reverse of this. Okay, this is how the packet flows. Okay, and this is only one of the basic example that I took. Okay, whenever we will be covering this flow, we will be covering it in details, like with the port numbers and everything. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this, and as I always say, it's not the end for the learning, it's just the beginning. So we have to keep on learning till our last breath. Okay, so thank you so much, and see you soon. Bye bye.